Hey there, guys. Welcome back. So, it seemed that y'all really liked the Buck 110 revisiting video. I had nothing but positive comments on that. So, with that being said, I think I will make it into a series because I enjoyed making it, and y'all seem to enjoy watching it. Just realized I don't have a hat band on this hat. I steamed it off the day I got my new one. I don't think I've uploaded that video yet, or it goes up today. Anyways, though, I gotta find where that went and glue it back on. Back on topic, though. Today's episode is going to be on the Schrade Oldtimer 2230T Pioneer. Now, if you've watched a lot of my videos, you will know that this here is the first knife I ever did a review on. At the time, 2 years ago, it was 10 bucks at Cabela's. Now it's between $20 and $25 because for some reason, price of knives are skyrocketing. But anyways, one thing different in this video is I do want to flesh it out, maybe make it not necessarily longer, but a bit more organized with some more information. I want to flesh it out. So, the Schrade Oldtimer 2230T Pioneer is one of Schrade's budget folders. It comes with a 3.1 inch blade. It is stainless steel, I believe. Yeah. It does come with a pocket clip, but I took it off because it's tip down only carry, and I don't do tip down, so I am now carrying it in a pocket knife sheath on my belt. And it's just a very basic locking design. It has a thumb stud only on one side, so if you're opening it with your left, you do have to open it backwards. But it has a very pronounced lock there that a lot of people, whenever I show them this knife, thought would be uncomfortable. It really doesn't get in the way at all. In fact, if you look at it, the way it waves right there, it almost makes like a finger groove. So, overall, whenever I bought this knife, I just wanted to do a budget knife review. I've hardly carried it. I think I carried it for like my first few weeks working out here on the ranch. And besides that, it's been a toolbox knife. As you can see, it's been scratched up by all the tools and stuff that I bang around against. But today we're going to actually be giving it a full chance. Carrying it 1 week, see how many of the tasks it can handle around the ranch. As well as I'm going to see if it can handle a few tasks that most people would have who don't work on a ranch, like if you work retail or office. So with that being said, let's see how we do. All right, y'all, so one thing that I have noticed about this is even though it does have a thumb stud for one hand opening, it is incredibly tight. Now, I'm sure with a little bit of working it, it'll get looser, but at the same time, WD-40 couldn't hurt either. And this is not something you can loosen a pivot screw because it's pinned in there, so just going to take a little bit of that down into there. We're going to see if this here helps it out any. Seems like it is a little bit, so we should be just about good to go on it. Just going to keep working that back and forth like that for a little while, and hopefully it'll get a little bit easier. All right, so tried to film this test a moment ago, but the cows wouldn't shut up when I was around them. But I'm about to put some cattle cubes out for the horses. And this is one thing I like to test my knives on, is can they still cut open a feed bag pretty well? Now, granted, this is one of those things like opening an Amazon box that most knives are going to pass, but it's still a nice test. And before anyone says it, yes, I know about the tabs, but they don't always work. Sometimes I'm in a hurry, and honestly, I just like using my knife, so. Yep, clean cut through. Also, if you know what these bags are made of, because they're not paper, it's almost like a waxy, like thin plastic or something, let me know, because I'm just very curious. All right, y'all, into day 3, and I'm going to cut the experiment a little short. And before I do that, I want to say I will not badmouth this knife. For most people, it is a perfectly functional EDC knife at a good price. But part of this is testing to see if it would work for my style of carry, and I'm just sharing it with y'all. But I do want to show, because you know, the hardest thing most people do with their knives, unless you work construction or something, is break down cardboard. And this will dull your knife fairly fast. And here's the thing. It holds a pretty decent edge. I mean, you know, I sharpened it on Monday, and it's still got a really nice edge on it. So for most people, this will work just fine. But the reason that it doesn't work for me, and again, this is just me personally, is it's not easy to open. And it's because of that thumb stud and where they put it. If they would have put it a bit further up so there's a bigger gap between the stud and the scales, it would have been way easier to open. Also, if they would have put a pivot screw or maybe just loosen it a little from the beginning. Because, like I said, she hears something in the rain. Like I said, this thing here, I WD-40 the hell out of. I sat in front of my TV watching Django the other night and just kept working it back and forth trying to get it to loosen up, and it hasn't hardly loosened up at all. Now, one-hand opening, again, it's made challenging by one, how stiff it is, and two, that thumb stud doesn't really stick out much over the edge, and there's not much of a gap, so it's hard to get your thumb up underneath there. And as far as opening it two-handed goes, I can't grip right here hardly because of that swedge up there, so I can't hardly grip that. I can't hardly grip near the thumb stud, like my fingers barely hold on because there's just not that much room. And to use the thumb stud to open it, I have to, like, again, get my thumbnail underneath there to open it up. Now, if you take the thumb stud off, it is a little bit easier with two-hand opening. And, of course, it ain't going to want to back out now. But anyways, I did take the thumb stud off for a little while to see how it is with two-hand opening, and it is a little better, but the problem is there's no nail nick or anything, so it's still very slick. I never realized on, like, you know, my more traditional knives that also have a very low profile to the handle, how much that nail nick is actually incredibly important to opening the knife. So because this is not fitting my EDC style, I will not be putting it into my rotation. However, I will still keep this as either a toolbox knife or, more likely, a backup vehicle knife. Because while it doesn't happen often, and usually it's like I'm out the house in a hurry, or maybe I put my knife down using it and forgot to put it back in my pocket or the sheath, I rarely will leave the house without a knife. But when it does happen, I usually keep an extra pocket knife in my car so that I can use it. And this here is perfectly suitable for that. Because, again, while it's not the easiest to open one-handed or even two-handed, I know that it will work. It holds a great edge. Everything about this knife is great except for the opening method. That is the only problem with a knife at all. But unfortunately, it's a big enough problem for me that I am going to end this a little bit early and put it back. But again, overall, I do still think it's a good knife. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.